Sometimes darkness creeps into our lives so quietly that we hardly notice it until it's already taken root. It doesn't arrive with a loud warning or flashing signs. Instead, it settles in the shadows of our daily existence, shaping things in ways we might never expect. Imagine being marked by a force far darker and more powerful than anything we see. A mark connected to the infamous number 666, a symbol that has haunted human history as a warning, a sign of spiritual danger. This mark isn't just about superstition or old tales. It represents a deeper battle playing out right beneath the surface of our everyday lives. Many people go through life unaware that they might already be touched by this darkness. That's why recognizing the signs is not just important, it's vital. It's a way to protect yourself, to fight for your freedom, and to reclaim your life before the shadows grow too strong. Knowing these signs can change everything. The way you see yourself, the way you understand the struggles you face, and the way you interact with the world around you. This video isn't just another list or scary story. It's a guide meant to open your eyes and sharpen your awareness. Pay close attention as you watch. If you're short on time, don't worry. You can speed up the video and still catch every important detail. What you're about to learn builds, step by step, with each sign revealing more about the mysterious spiritual battle that quietly influences so many of our struggles. These signs are more than coincidences or random events. They are clues, hints left behind in the shadows, pointing to something far bigger and more powerful. Behind every challenge, every unexpected hardship, there's a hidden spiritual war being fought. The number 666 is not just a number. It's a symbol deeply tied to this battle. A key that unlocks the mystery of what it means to be marked by this dark force. As you listen carefully, you'll start to see the patterns, the connections that link your experiences to this ancient conflict. Understanding these signs is the first step toward breaking free, and this journey begins now. Sometimes, out of nowhere, a heavy cloud of dark, troubling thoughts washes over you. Thoughts that seem strange, even alien, as if they don't belong to you at all. These aren't just normal feelings of sadness or stress. They come suddenly and feel overwhelming, like a force working against your mind, trying to pull you down into despair. It's almost like there's an invisible enemy inside, quietly sabotaging your mental peace and making you doubt yourself, your worth, and your future. These waves of negativity don't just disappear quickly. They linger, attacking your thoughts day after day, making it hard to find any relief. This experience can feel like a spiritual sabotage, a hidden battle where the mind becomes a battlefield. And here's where the number 666 connects in a way many don't realize. This number, often feared and misunderstood, isn't only a symbol seen on the outside. It also represents a mental trap, a kind of spiritual interference that creeps into your thinking. The 666 is linked to imperfection and chaos, reflecting how these negative thoughts twist your mind into confusion and distress. It's like the mark isn't just physical or symbolic, but reaches deep into the way you think and feel, trapping you in patterns that pull you away from peace and clarity. Many people have faced this without knowing what's happening. Imagine someone who suddenly starts hearing a voice in their head telling them they're worthless, or that everything they do will fail, even when everything around them says otherwise. These thoughts don't make sense, yet they refuse to leave. They isolate the person, making them feel alone, misunderstood, and hopeless. It's a silent struggle because these dark waves don't always show on the outside. Sometimes the person wearing a smile might be fighting this storm inside. These thoughts contradict reality, twisting facts into lies and convincing the mind that it's trapped in a hopeless situation. So, how do you tell the difference between just having a bad day or feeling down and this kind of spiritual attack? Normal negative emotions come and go. They have reasons and usually clear triggers like stress or sadness. But these mental attacks feel persistent and unnatural, like something foreign invading your mind. They disrupt your peace without any obvious cause, and keep returning no matter how hard you try to push them away. Recognizing this difference is important because it helps you understand that these dark thoughts are not a part of who you really are. The good news is you can fight back. One powerful way to weaken these attacks is by speaking out loud, vocalizing your rejection of these harmful thoughts. Saying things like, "I refuse to believe this," or "These thoughts don't control me," can begin to break the hold they have. Keeping positive affirmations ready, like reminders of your strength and worth, gives you a mental shield. Every time these dark waves come, use your words and thoughts to push back. This isn't just wishful thinking. It's a mental counterattack that rewires your brain and weakens the spiritual trap. Awareness is your strongest weapon. When you recognize these thoughts for what they truly are, spiritual attacks connected to the 666 mental trap, you take away their power. Darkness can only control what it can hide. By shining light on these patterns and understanding their source, you start to break free from their grip. The mark of 6666 in this sense isn't just a scary symbol. It's a sign of mental bondage, showing how spiritual forces can influence our thoughts and create chains in our minds. But knowing this means you're no longer blind to the trap. This connection between the number 666 and your mental state reveals a hidden influence that tries to keep you in chaos and confusion. But as you learn to recognize these signs and fight back with awareness and affirmations, you step closer to freedom. The darkness loses its hold when you refuse to accept its lies and claim your mind back as your own. This is the first step on a journey to reclaim your peace, your clarity, and your life from the shadows that try to mark you. When darkness settles and the world falls silent, our bodies and minds finally enter a state meant for rest and renewal, sleep. But sleep isn't just a time when we close our eyes and drift off. It's a deeply vulnerable state where the barriers between the physical world and the spiritual realm become thinner, making us more open to unseen forces. This vulnerability is exactly why some people experience terrifying nightmares and strange, unsettling feelings at night. These aren't just ordinary bad dreams. They are signs of something much darker trying to invade the peace of our minds while we are most defenseless. This is where the number 6666 comes into play once again. Not as just a symbol we see during the day, but as a spiritual entry point that can be exploited during the night. The darkness of sleep creates a doorway, and 666 is like a secret code or a mark that allows dark forces to trespass into this fragile state, causing fear and confusion. People marked by this dark connection often find themselves waking suddenly, at the same time each night, commonly around 3 a.m., a time many spiritual traditions call the witching hour, or the moment when spiritual activity is strongest. At these times, the peaceful rest they seek turns into something terrifying. Many experience nightmares that go far beyond normal bad dreams. These nightmares often involve shadowy, indistinct figures, dark shapes that seem to chase or trap the dreamer in a place where escape feels impossible. The fear is so intense it feels real, leaving the person shaken long after they've woken up. Imagine lying there, heart pounding, unable to move or call out, trapped in a dream where invisible forces surround you. These recurring nightmares aren't just random. They're spiritual battles fought on a hidden level during your sleep. One example comes from a woman named Rachel, who for months suffered from the same nightmare. Every night she dreamed of a dark figure following her through endless corridors. No matter how fast she ran, she could never reach safety. The fear from these dreams began to affect her daily life, making her anxious even when awake. Rachel's story is just one of many that show how deeply these nighttime spiritual attacks can impact a person's sense of security and well-being. Across cultures and history, people have long believed that sleep is a time when spirits can communicate or interfere with the living. From ancient tales of night demons to modern stories of sleep paralysis, the idea that spiritual forces can invade our sleep has been recorded again and again. In many traditions, the hour around 3 a.m. is seen as a moment when the spiritual veil is thinnest, allowing evil forces easier access. The number 66666 fits into this spiritual landscape as a mark of trespassing, a symbol that dark forces use to enter the realm of dreams and spread fear. This nighttime spiritual warfare is not just a spooky story. It's a real struggle happening quietly as people try to rest. But there is hope and power in knowing how to protect yourself during these vulnerable hours. Simple but effective practices can create strong spiritual boundaries around your sleeping space. Visualization, for example, involves imagining a bright, protective light surrounding your bed, blocking out all dark forces. Prayer is another powerful tool, calling on a higher power to guard your mind and body as you sleep. Cleansing rituals like burning sage or using holy water can purify your space and make it harder for negative energies to enter. Setting firm boundaries before going to bed is also key. This might mean clearly stating, out loud or in your mind, that no harmful spirits are allowed near your sleeping place. These actions send a strong message that your rest is sacred and protected, making it more difficult for the mark of 666 to act as a gateway for spiritual invasion. Understanding the connection between 666 and these nighttime attacks helps reveal a deeper truth. The darkness that marks us is not limited to our waking thoughts or actions. It also tries to creep into the most private, vulnerable parts of our lives, our dreams, and our rest. But by learning to recognize these signs and using practical methods to protect ourselves, we can reclaim the night from fear. We can take back our sleep, restoring it to a time of peace, healing, and true rest. This is another step on the path to breaking free from the shadow that tries to mark us and control us, showing us that even in the darkest hours, light and protection are within reach. After understanding how the darkness can invade our sleep, another sign begins to show itself during our waking hours. Strange patterns of bad luck that seem to follow us like a shadow. This isn't just ordinary misfortune that happens once in a while. It's a series of repeated, unusual setbacks that don't make sense logically, almost as if some unseen force is purposely blocking your progress. This is the third sign that you might be marked by the devil, a strange cycle of misfortune connected to the number 666. Think of it like this. Imagine you keep tripping over the same stone on a path no matter how carefully you walk. You fix the path, you watch your step, but somehow you always stumble at the exact same place. This is what life feels like when caught in the 666 cycle, a loop of obstacles and failures that keep appearing again and again. These are not simple accidents or coincidences. They have a deeper supernatural meaning. The devil's mark acts like a pattern, making sure these bad events return in a way that holds you back. Take James as an example. He is a hardworking man who always prepares thoroughly for his important meetings. But every time he is about to leave for one, his car breaks down in unexpected ways. A flat tire, engine failure, or a dead battery. It happens repeatedly, as if something is working against him. These breakdowns force him to miss crucial chances for promotions and success, leaving him frustrated and confused. James's experience shows how this cycle of misfortune follows a pattern, blocking good opportunities in life. These patterns come in many forms. You might notice sudden technological failures like your phone crashing, your computer freezing at important moments, or your internet cutting out just when you need it most. Sometimes it's missed chances, calls not returned, emails lost, or opportunities that seem to vanish at the last second. Or you may face a string of bad events happening close together, like a small accident followed by losing your wallet, and then an unexpected bill. When these troubles cluster around the number 666 in some way, 3 sets of events, or recurring problems on the 6th day, or at 606 for example, it points to a spiritual interference cycling through your life. The number 666 here acts like a loop, a spiritual cycle that repeats itself, causing these bad luck events to keep coming back until you become aware of them and take action. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to breaking free from this harmful cycle. Once you notice how these events follow a certain rhythm or pattern, you can begin to respond differently. There are practical ways to stop the 666 cycle. One of the simplest is using affirmations, positive statements you repeat to yourself to shift your mindset away from fear and negativity. For instance, saying, "I am protected from harm and guided towards success," daily can help change how you respond to challenges. Rituals also help, like lighting a candle or saying a prayer at the start of the day to set your intentions and create a protective barrier around your life. Mindset shifts are powerful too. Instead of feeling trapped by these setbacks, remind yourself that you have control over your reactions and that you can overcome these blocks. The key is awareness and taking action before the cycle repeats again. When you stay alert to these strange bad luck patterns, you can prepare yourself mentally and spiritually to resist them. Proactively protecting your energy and setting clear intentions to break the cycle will make it harder for these repeated misfortunes to keep controlling your life. Ultimately, recognizing this sign is about understanding that some of the bad luck we face isn't random. It's part of a spiritual battle fought every day, using the mark of 666 to trap us in a loop of failure. But by tracking these patterns and using simple tools like affirmations, rituals, and mindset changes, you can interrupt this cycle. You can take back control and begin to clear the path ahead, stepping out of the shadow of repeated misfortune and into a future where your efforts are met with success and peace. These strange patterns of misfortune often leave behind something more than emotional frustration. They begin to show up in the body. After the cycle of bad luck seems never-ending, many people start noticing physical symptoms that doctors can't fully explain. You go in for tests, you follow advice, but somehow nothing improves. The pain lingers, the fatigue remains, and the sense of being unwell continues without a clear cause. This is no coincidence. It's the fourth sign: unexplained physical symptoms that point to spiritual interference, especially the kind tied to the 6666 mark. Spiritual attacks don't just stay in the mind or appear only in bad dreams. They often creep into the body, especially when the same dark energy has been hanging around for a long time. The human body is not just a collection of organs. It's deeply connected to our spiritual state. When that spiritual balance is disturbed, especially by something as powerful as the 666 influence, it can affect how we feel physically. People marked by this energy may begin to feel frequent headaches, tightness in the chest, strange pain in the back, or fatigue that won't go away no matter how much they rest. These symptoms tend to show up around key spiritual centers in the body. The head, for example, is where we process thoughts, intuition, and awareness. Headaches or pressure around the forehead might not always be from stress. They could be signs that your mind is under spiritual attack. The chest is where we hold emotion and breathe in life itself. When that area feels tight, heavy, or anxious for no clear reason, it could be your spirit signaling danger. The back, especially the upper spine, is often linked with support and stability. Pain there can reflect a deeper spiritual disruption, especially when everything else checks out fine medically. Eleanor's story is one many people can relate to. She was a healthy woman, always full of energy, until she began experiencing constant headaches that no medicine could touch. She visited multiple doctors, had scans, took pills, but nothing helped. Then she began noticing a strange heaviness whenever she walked into her bedroom or past a certain mirror in her house. It was only when she explored the spiritual side of her life that things started to change. Eleanor discovered that her home had become a resting place for negative energy, and that her physical pain was a message her spirit had been trying to send all along. Another example is Thomas, who felt a crushing pressure in his chest every morning, like something heavy was sitting on him. Tests showed his heart was fine, but the weight didn't go away. He later found out that he had been unknowingly marked, carrying spiritual baggage passed down through his family, linked with patterns of fear and guilt. Once he began cleansing his space and grounding himself spiritually, that chest pressure slowly began to fade. This isn't to say we should ignore doctors or reject modern medicine. Not at all. Medical care is essential and can save lives. But when doctors are puzzled and the usual treatments don't help, it might be time to look at the situation from a different angle. This is about adding spiritual awareness to our healing journey. Not replacing science, but walking beside it. Sometimes what our bodies really need is a deeper kind of attention, one that recognizes the invisible weight we carry. Across many cultures and traditions, Healing has always been more than just taking medicine. Ancient methods like energy cleansing, using sound or herbs, and even modern practices like breathwork or meditation have helped people reconnect with their bodies and spirits. Visualization techniques, like imagining healing light entering your body and pushing out darkness, can be surprisingly powerful. Even something as simple as placing your hand over your heart and speaking kind words to yourself can begin the process of lifting that spiritual pressure. What matters most is learning to listen to your body, not just for signs of illness, but for messages from your deeper self. When the body speaks through pain or fatigue, it's not always asking for a pill. Sometimes it's crying out for spiritual attention. The mark of 666 doesn't just bring nightmares or bad luck. It tries to infect every layer of who you are. Mind, body, and spirit, all at once. Healing from this influence means treating all three together. Start with awareness. Notice the patterns. Invite healing not just through medication, but through intention, cleansing, prayer, and love. By addressing the full picture of your being, you begin to break the grip of the 6666 energy. You reclaim your health, your peace, and your power. Because true healing doesn't come from just one place. It flows from all sides, especially when you know where the real battle is happening. As the physical toll of this unseen battle takes hold, there's one more sign that quietly begins to surface, often unnoticed until it's already done damage. It's not in your dreams or your body, or even in strange patterns of bad luck. It's in your relationships. The fifth sign is isolation, the slow breakdown of friendships, family bonds, and meaningful connections. And just like the others, it doesn't happen randomly. It's part of a pattern. Another way the 666 influence weakens a person's spiritual defenses by cutting them off from the people who care about them most. Think of it like this. When a tree stands alone and the key open, it's easier for the wind to push it down. But when that tree is part of a forest, surrounded and supported, it stands strong. People are no different. We are built to be connected, to lean on each other, to find strength in community, to heal through relationships. The devil's mark knows this. That's why it targets those bonds. It doesn't just cause fights, it feeds on distance, coldness, and silence between people who once loved each other deeply. It often starts subtly. A small disagreement with a friend turns into weeks of not speaking. A misunderstood message between family members grows into resentment. You start feeling like no one really understands you, like you're better off alone. Over time, you might even begin pulling away from everyone without really knowing why. It feels like self-protection, but in reality, it's isolation, and it's exactly what the spiritual disruption wants. Take the story of Anita, for example. She was always close to her sister. They talked every day, supported each other through everything. But then strange things began to happen. Missed calls, hurt feelings over harmless words, a growing sense of distance. Neither of them could explain why they were drifting apart. It wasn't until Anita started reflecting on her own emotional state that she realized something deeper was at play. She had been feeling increasingly alone, not just with her sister but with everyone. And this loneliness wasn't coming from outside. It was creeping in from somewhere within, feeding off unresolved fear, spiritual exhaustion, and the silent, influence of that 666 mark. This is how the erosion works. Slowly, quietly, hidden behind what seems like normal life stress. But when you look closely, there's a pattern. Relationships falling apart one by one, misunderstandings piling up, and a growing sense that no one is truly there for you. The energy of 666 uses this social disconnection as a powerful weapon. It knows that when people are isolated, they become vulnerable, spiritually, emotionally, even physically. But here's the good news. The power to fight this begins with awareness. If you've noticed that you're withdrawing more than usual, or that people around you seem colder or more distant, take a moment to ask, is this really about them, or is something else pulling the strings? Healing begins with reflection, looking back at what truly caused the rift, and whether it can be repaired. Sometimes reaching out with a simple message or apology is enough to break the silence. Other times it takes more effort, more patience, but the effort is worth it. Every healed bond weakens the devil's grip. Ancient wisdom across cultures has always emphasized the strength of community. Whether it's tribes, villages, or spiritual groups, people have always gathered in circles for protection and healing. That's because unity is spiritual armor. It creates light where darkness tries to creep in. The 666 mark, at its core, seeks to fragment, to divide, to isolate. Because when you stand alone, you're easier to influence. But when you're connected, truly, deeply connected, there's a power there that can't be broken. So if you felt yourself slipping into loneliness, know that you're not meant to fight alone. Rebuild your circle. Reach out. Heal what's been broken. Because sometimes, the strongest way to protect your spirit is by holding someone else's hand. When we look back at these signs, persistent bad luck, terrifying nightmares, strange physical symptoms, unusual animal behavior, and the painful breakdown of relationships, it becomes clear that none of them stand alone. They're all part of a deeper, darker pattern, a spiritual mark many never see until it's already affecting their lives. The 666 connection isn't just a number. It's a signal of invasion, a silent strategy to weaken you piece by piece. But knowing these signs means you're no longer in the dark, and that awareness is the first step in taking your power back. Understanding what's happening is powerful, but knowledge alone isn't enough. Without action, it's like knowing there's a storm coming but never building shelter. That's why you have to move forward, not with fear, but with purpose. This isn't about being paranoid or obsessed with the number 666. It's about being aware, spiritually alert, and intentional in your everyday life. Darkness only wins when it stays hidden. So how do you protect yourself? You start with small, daily choices. Speak truth even when it's hard. Cleanse the energy in your home. Light a candle, say a prayer, let fresh air in. Notice the patterns in your life and don't let negativity settle in. If something feels off, don't ignore it. Pay attention. Heal what needs healing, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and above all, stay connected, talk to people, rebuild what's been lost. Surround yourself with those who lift you up. Being proactive means not waiting for the next sign to show up. It means checking in with yourself regularly, keeping your space protected, and feeding your spirit with good things. Whether that's learning more about spiritual strength, or simply being present with those you love, every small step matters. Your life has meaning. Your purpose is too important to be held down by forces that thrive in secrecy. You weren't meant to live in fear. You were meant to walk in light. And with that light, darkness doesn't stand a chance. If you found truth in these words, don't let the journey stop here. Subscribe now to stay connected with more insights that protect, guide, and uplift your spirit. There's a video waiting for you next, chosen to help you grow even deeper on this path. And if any of this spoke to your experience or raised questions, share them in the comments below. Your voice matters, and you're not alone. Thank you for being here, for opening your heart, and for taking these steps toward clarity and strength. This message could be the beginning of something powerful.